Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com, and today we're checking out the U2-Air from Ottocast. This is a new wireless CarPlay adapter for existing factory CarPlay systems. It allows you to cut the cord and use your iPhone wirelessly on your wired CarPlay display. It's compatible with over 600 car models, and you can go to their website to find their full list of compatible car manufacturers and car models. However, again, like their U2 Lite dongle, it's not compatible with Mitsubishi car motors. You get free easy returns in 15 days after you receive the item, 1 year after sales quality assurance, and an extra 1 year warranty if you note your model year in the order. Okay, so let's have a look at what's inside the box. All right, so here's everything you get inside the box. You get a welcome card, a quick user manual, the dongle itself. You also get a USB-C to C cable, and as well as the default USB-A to C cable. Looking over the dongle itself, it's angular in pattern, but not in structure. As you can see, it's a flat top here, but it kind of gives you these angular edges. Other than the side edges here, that's the only cut edges of this particular dongle. Got a QC pass here. Got the model number on the back. There's no active calling by as such. We just have quite a deep recessed USB-C cable port and what looks to be a resets hole or switch, and I believe there'll be a LED indicator on the top right hand corner to let you know that the dongle is operating, and also to give you status indicators whilst it's getting updated as well. So once we're in the car, we'll use the default cable, use the cable that plugs into the bottom there, and then this part will go into the CarPlay port in my car. The experience is going to be very similar to the U2X, other than this dongle will only support CarPlay. It doesn't offer Android Auto support. That's why you can get it at such a lower price than the one that can do both Android Auto and CarPlay. I did have this dongle for a few weeks earlier, but unfortunately the first model broke on me after doing an update. Also, the light didn't actually function for me either, so I think I got a dud unit. So I've had to wait a little while to get this replacement. All right, so let's jump in the car and see how well this performs. Right, so we're in the Golf. We've got our Ottocast, and we're going to be plugging it into the USB CarPlay port in the car, and then we'll get fired up. So we've got it plugged in. We've got that all ready to go here, and let's fire up and see how fast this takes. So even though I've paired it previously, I've taken off the Bluetooth profile, so you'll see how fast it gets into the main menu first. We have a blue indicator light here to let us know that everything is operational. So we're into the dongle main menu interface already. That's nice and quick, at least on my system. If you've seen my U2X CarPlay adapter review, you'll see that the operating system itself is very similar, in that it's just missing the Android Auto toggle switching between Android Auto and CarPlay. So if you're looking for an Android Auto CarPlay adapter to work with your CarPlay system, then I would basically go for the U2X. But if you're just looking for wireless CarPlay, then I would just use this particular dongle or similar for that purpose. Firmware version is stamped down below, and there's nothing else you can do here, which means that you won't be able to do any multiple iPhone connections or switching between multiple devices. You have to go through the Bluetooth route and switch between the devices that way, unpairing and repairing between the different devices. So now that we're sitting on the main menu, it doesn't know what to do until we connect to it. So let's go into the Bluetooth settings, and then we go into Bluetooth. We look for the Auto 5C83 profile to come up on our Bluetooth. Here it is. I'm going to tap on that, pair, allow our syncing of the favorites we want to use with CarPlay, and I'm doing that. We're into CarPlay. So I think that's pretty quick. Just generally, we can now stop and put our device away in a cubby hole or in a center console, and we can now use CarPlay. So let's just do a quick audio test.
God damn, Jimmy.
So that's your regular 2-second delay. Wheel controls. That all works fine. Backwards as well. We also do Siri. Send an audio message to test.
Okay, recording.
Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com, and this is an audio test using the U2-Air Ottocast CarPlay wireless adapter, and this is an audio test.
Send it to test. Okay, it's sent.
All right, so standard recording there for the audio. That will mean that we'll get the same kind of audio lag in phone calls. Pretty standard with wireless CarPlay. And so that's CarPlay in a nutshell. GPS will come from the phone itself. It's positioned me pretty accurately as expected with all other CarPlay dongles that are very similar. And functionality is going to be exactly the same. I haven't used this long enough to see how it is stability wise. I really don't do that many 2-hour plus road trips, but I have used it over the last week using the dongle on its own and doing short journeys between an hour or less, and it hasn't crashed on me yet. It has skipped on audio, but I think it's purely down to that I was streaming and I had a bad 3G connection. Since then, I've not had any problems. It's very responsive to the touch. It's not lagging as much. It's good quality as you'd expect on my system. I've got quite a low res display. It does pick up these little jaggies on the edge here, and that's common across all CarPlay. There's nothing else you can do with this dongle. You can't do anything like Android OS. You won't be able to AirPlay into it or anything like that. It's purely just wireless CarPlay. So if you've got a wired CarPlay system and you want to make it wireless, then this is a dongle that will achieve that purpose and do it in good speeds as well. So let's do a turn off test and start from fresh. We're starting up now. So we're in, and I think that took about 14 seconds to the boot and another around about 10 seconds or more to CarPlay itself. So overall for me, 25 seconds-ish. That is very good speeds. That's very good speeds that can get up to this dongle, which I've been using recently just purely for its boot speed. So speed-wise, if you're looking for something that's very fast, or at least on my system with a Golf and an Alpine system, speeds are really, really good. So that's getting straight into the CarPlay system without any problems. Going back to the main menu as expected this way, and it is nice and responsive. So if you want to do any updates or go through the actual IP menu, you do that once you're connected to the CarPlay system, and you go into Safari and you do 192.168.101 and you come to this display here. So this is basically a submission form. If you have any problems with the dongle itself, you can just send through that information and tell them what's wrong. It will tell them your build number, where you're using the unit, what car you've got, and so on, and what your just problem is. And down below here, you'd have an online update. You would have a big red button there saying an update is available. You would tap that and you would get through to downloading it off the internet, and then your device will reboot and you'll get the latest version. I have done an update on this already, and so I'm running the latest. The update went through totally fine. The one issue is that it didn't reboot, and I had to basically pull the dongle out, plug it back in after roughly about 3 to 5 minutes, and then the dongle came back to life again, and I had the update applied. So if you're thinking about updating the dongle and the light stops flashing and goes into a solid blue, I think that is the dongle done, and you can just pull it out and plug it back in again. It won't reboot, or maybe it didn't reboot on my system. And what I would do or recommend, make it go past about 3 to 5 minutes, then unplug it just to make sure that the update is applied. And then once you plug it back in, the update will be successfully done and you'll be back into the dongle interface and CarPlay with the latest version, and any bug fixes that update has changed for you. So I'm going to turn it off and do a timed test using a stopwatch, and I'll just compare it to the Pro Oak dongle and see which one is faster. Right, so we've got 26 seconds on the Ottocast U2-Air. So I now plug in the Pro Oak and see if this can do any better. So we're doing a startup test using the Pro Oak just to see if it's the same timing or if the Air is any faster. For 24 seconds, so that's 38 seconds with the Pro Oak. It used to be a lot faster than that, so let me just check if this dongle has an update. Right, let's try again. Right, so 28 seconds there. So I would say it's very close between the two dongles. I'd say these two dongles are probably the most fastest dongles that are out there at the moment. So if you were to look for either of them, you'd definitely be set for a fast dongle with wireless CarPlay. Let's just undo this and then put in the Ottocast again one more time and see if the test is the same. So 28 seconds to beat. So it's definitely 14 seconds is quite consistent with the Air getting into its boot screen at least. Right, consistently 28 seconds there. So we're level pegging now with the Pro Oak dongle. I'd say, I don't know if they're using the same software or at least the same sort of chipset that's behind the whole thing. But you can see that the interface for the updating of the menu is completely different. I do prefer the Pro Oak's interface though, because it allows you to set a lot more on the dongle, such as the Wi-Fi connection, as well as compatibility, removing the status display and so on. So the only thing you don't get is the delay, the audio delay changes that you do get with the U2W firmwares and their dongles, such as like the CarlinKits. So you do lose out on those features, but I think you add those features and you start to add more complexity, and therefore it could be a longer boot time for all those complexities to form in line, and then you end up getting a longer boot time. So with these, you're definitely going to get a fast boot in because there's no frills, gets you in there, wireless CarPlay, good to go. Sound wise, it sounds good, just like any other dongle that I've used in my system. I don't know if it's my Alpine that's doing the heavy lifting of the audio quality, but I rarely see bad audio quality in any of the dongles that I've tried so far. Right, so for comparisons, I've got the U2 Now dongle, so that's very similar to using the Ottokit, which is also fast, but we'll plug this in so we've got the same operating system just to see if the latest 15.3 OS allows faster CarPlay. Right, so I've paired up the device to the U2 Now, so it does a seamless boot in to CarPlay. We'll see how fast this is. So roughly it's around 20 seconds consistently to get into the boot menu, just under 38 seconds. So I would say that's about 10 seconds longer using Ottokit compared to the firmwares on these two dongles, including the Air. One more test. Right, so we've got the DAYO here, which is basically the same firmware as the Pro Oak. I'm going to plug this in, get the latest update and see how fast this goes. So with the DAYO, I'm expecting the same speeds as the Pro Oak, but it is a little bit temperamental, this dongle, specifically in my CarPlay port. So the DAYO gets me in around about 24 seconds. That's the fastest one so far. My only caveat is that, yes, it does do the same menu system and it is running the latest version. It is an issue with just general hardware connection to the socket itself. It's very prone to tripping, and you can connect it to a separate cable. Maybe that might reduce it, but it's quite sensitive in my experience. So even though it's the fastest so far, I probably wouldn't recommend it. I would go for something a little bit more reliable, such as the Pro Oak or the U2-Air. Next up, we've got the mini Autokit dongle here, wireless CarPlay, and this is also not a fastish kind of dongle because it uses Autokit, just like the U2 Now. So I'm going to plug this in and see how far. 17 seconds we're into the boot menu, and I'll say roughly around about 30 seconds to get into the main menu. So that's a little bit faster, well, a lot faster than the U2 Now. It is using Autokit in a similar firmware. Slightly different chipset probably, and generally not a bad dongle there. Sounds good, interacts just as fine. Looks good, sounds good as well, just like all the others. But it's a little bit slower than the Air and the Pro Oak dongle, and also the DAYO adapter. Right, the last one is to actually look at the U2X, which is pretty much exactly the same hardware inside and obviously and also software to the Air. So in theory, you should get similar speeds. But let's see once this is all updated and paired up, how fast this is compared to all the others. Right, so firing up the U2X, it's a little bit temperamental, this dongle. Right, so 48 seconds or thereabouts to get into wireless CarPlay with the U2X. That's a lot longer. I don't know if it's because it's now got to trigger two platforms, but in theory, because you have to boot in and out of the Android and the CarPlay version of the dongle, there really shouldn't be any hurdles between the two. So in theory, that is some 20 seconds slower than the Air and also the Pro Oak. So read into that what you will, and you can understand how much faster the other dongles are. So I've looked at quite a lot of the minified versions of the dongles. The Air has come out very well on top alongside the Pro Oak adapter, slightly behind the DAYO at number 1, but because the DAYO is a little bit temperamental in terms of its circuitry and hardware, and it's quite easy to crash it, then I wouldn't probably recommend the DAYO, and I would just go for the Air or the Pro Oak. The Air is very good, however it does have its limitations. Just like the Pro Oak, you can't switch between multiple devices, but however the Pro Oak's got much better settings on the actual dongle itself to configure it and manipulate it to work with your car system a little bit better than what the Air allows. The CarlinKit Mini did do well as well, and on paper it's probably the most richer feature spec than all the other dongles, with 80 megahertz channel width, 5 gigs of channel band. It does Wi-Fi 5, faster 433 megabits per second data rate, but it is running AutoKit, which is slightly slower. Compared to the Pro Oak and the DAYO, which runs at 20 megahertz channel width, it runs Wi-Fi 4, and they both do 65 megabits per second, so a lot slower in terms of its bandwidth. Yet it's one of the fastest, which is really, really weird. The DAYO is 40 megahertz Wi-Fi channel width, 5 gig. It's also Wi-Fi 4, slightly faster at 135 megabits per second. The Air matches those specs, however it's 150 megabits per second. So it's very interesting that the Pro Oak and the U2-Air are very similar in terms of speed, yet one is slightly better than the other. But so the Air has sort of better bandwidth as a whole compared to the Pro Oak, but then the Pro Oak has got better sort of settings and features. So overall, the U2-Air is a very good dongle, one of the fastest as you've seen. It retails for $109.99. It's not available on Amazon yet, but I'm sure it will be very, very soon. But you can get it through the Ottocast own Shopify store for this price. It's a decent dongle. It does have its limitations in its settings menu, but as you've seen, it's one of the fastest that's out there. So if you're looking for a very fast and stable Wi-Fi dongle, and like the Pro Oak's not available at the time, then I would definitely recommend checking out the U2-Air. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, leave us a like down below and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the U2-Air from Ottocast. You can check out all my other dongle reviews up in this playlist up here. Hit the subscribe button down below to catch all of my future content, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.